Hi, everyone. When I was asked to do this presentation, I got a little nervous because custody actually was the buzzword, I feel, of 2019, the same way that blockchain was a buzzword of 2016. Custody means sort of everything and anything, and it's the buzzword that was thrown in everyone's face in 19 to say that the industry was moving somewhere and the industry is moving somewhere but needs custody. And it's important because it's related to security. Actually, blockchains are secure or deemed to be secure, but the big flaw of blockchain is the endpoint security. And so therefore, when you have that private key, when you have that secret, everyone is freaking out on what to do with it. And so you're seeking custody, you're seeking probably someone to hand over your private key so they can take care of that problem for you. So I'm not here to tell you about custody from a financial institution perspective, because this is not my job. I run a technology company. So I'm here to tell you about custody from a technology standpoint. Where are we today? What does it mean? Where are we going? Why is Ledger relevant to talk about custody? For several reasons. Can you raise your hand if you have one of our products? Thank you. Thank you very much to all of you. So this is not bad. We have been known for the hardware wallet, and the hardware wallet is actually custody for the end users. The hardware wallet protects your private key. But what you might not know is also we're serving enterprises and industries. So financial industry goes through a revolution. Every panel, every presentation that you had so far is talking about this. It started with Bitcoin, and now we're entering. Actually, 19 was a pivotal year with Libra. That was a big push. But we're going into blockchain applications for like sort of stable coins, security tokens, decentralized finance. And suddenly you can see that there are more and more applications where of that first Bitcoin initiative with the underlying blockchain as a technology. All these initiatives have one thing in common: they have private keys. In order to own a digital asset, you need to have a secret that only you possess. And if you share that secret with someone, it's not a secret anymore. And then people can steal that asset from you. Those assets are very different from the other type of assets that we know. If you think gold, if you think oil, if you think even cash, it is very difficult to steal assets at scale. If you try to steal 3 tons of gold, I dare you. Actually, there is only one way to do it, is to have an army and to invade a country. Because to steal something means you have to take possession, and then you have to be able to use it, resell it. So to steal 3 tons of gold only happened in Die Hard. I think it's the Die Hard 3. But in reality, it doesn't happen. With crypto assets, it's very easy. And actually, you read about hacks every week, every month. You read about hacks, not about, and I'm not talking about scams, I'm talking about hacks. And the biggest exchange of the planet are being hacked. Binance was hacked not too long ago. And they don't suck at technology. They're pretty good technologists. They have actually a very decent company, and yet they're being hacked. So critical digital assets come with very new operational risks. Why? Because they work very differently. You need to manage the key. Once the transaction is done, you cannot bring it back. And the network is open. If you think about the banking system, the way it works, and if you try to wire money from France to Nigeria, you understand that the banking system is not a very open system, and you have to go through so many intermediaries, which makes the system clunky, but in some weird way sort of protects the system. You can always call back the transaction. You can always make a phone call to someone to say that this has not happened, etc. This is not the same with digital assets or critical digital assets. In our space, custody has 3 trends. Number one is all these new assets that have been created or that are being created. There is a big regulatory trend in custody. It's for good reasons. Like, what does it mean? Like, where are the keys? Who has possession of what? It is very interesting custody of critical digital asset, of custody of Bitcoin, because it's probably the only asset where you have technology where no one actually has custody. If you take a gold bar, it's very easy. Either I give you the gold bar and you have custody of the gold bar, or I keep the gold bar and I have the custody of the gold bar. With the Bitcoin, the Bitcoin could be sitting between us. We could sort of share secrets where no one will have access to the Bitcoin. Only, the Bitcoin will sit in between a few people. That's called multi-signature, for example. So that's interesting. And so regulators are thinking about that to understand what it means. And of course, there's one trend in 2019, which is, all of this is very clunky. So the trend was, how do we make custody for critical digital assets? How do we make custody for Bitcoin easier? If you think about Bitcoin as the next technological revolution, and people have said, this is the internet for money, it's all good and well, but right now custody for Bitcoin is very clunky. It doesn't really work. You have words like frozen storage, cold storage, all of these things. You need to call someone. You need 48 hours to run up and down a mountain. It doesn't sound like technology. It sounds like we are looking at what we've done in the past and we're trying to replicate it, but it's not very agile. Right now in the market, there are two strategies at work. There is the DIY strategy, do it yourself. Weirdly enough, nano products is used in the do-it-yourself world. I meet with a lot of companies that are actually using nanos to protect their secrets at the company level, which we don't recommend, because nanos have not been designed actually to do this. They've been designed for an individual use, not for the use of a financial institution. So they protect the key, but who has access to the nano? And in 2019, there's been a little consolidation already where you have seen Coinbase acquiring Zappo. You have seen Bakkt acquiring DAC. And so my guess is Coinbase acquired a portfolio of clients because I don't think Zappo had much technology in the way that we think about technology at Ledger. But DAC was an acquisition from Bakkt, and probably there was talent and some form of technology acquisition. But the state of the industry, if you think about it, and if you think about the biggest custodians today that are the exchanges, the state of the industry is mostly do-it-yourself. And it's interesting because we come from a world of absolute security. No one here wakes up in the morning checking his bank accounts thinking, oh my God, maybe my bank has been hacked at night. You're quite secure with your assets. You're not very secure with your Bitcoin. Every time I go to conferences, I've got people coming to me and say, thank you. And so I'm always surprised, like, why do you thank me? It's like, oh, because thanks to Ledger, now I can sleep at night. So protecting Bitcoin, protecting those private keys is actually very important, but there has not been a very good technological answer so far in the market to this fundamental problem. And so everything is very young and immature, and everyone is still experimenting solutions, but no one has really found the right way of doing it yet. And yet, we have those needs. Security, of course, governance, which is different from security. You need the private key to be secure, but then what are the governance rules to access those coins? Who has the right to do what? Like, can I wire 100 million on my own? Do I need to ask permission? Like, how do we even know how governance is enforced? Flexibility is very important because, again, in the future, buying and holding Bitcoin is what the industry has done in the past few years. But in the future, all these assets will be moving much more. And actually, we see at Ledger many clients having the needs of moving assets constantly. And so therefore, there's no room really for a security solution that is clunky and where you need to call someone in order to move funds. So you need to have security solutions and custody solutions that give you flexibility and speed. It needs to go fast. It needs to go fast today. We probably need to go faster tomorrow. Again, if it's the internet of money, things will go fast. Things on the internet go fast. Things on the internet go faster every day. So there is no reason why this internet of money should be slow and wouldn't apply the same rule as the internet and moving information. I'm going to say this, but this cold and hot stuff will be something of the past. It is not true, and that's what the industry has done so far, and that's how the industry was built. It's like you got cold storage and you got hot wallet. Cold storage, I'm safe. Hot wallet, crossing fingers, I hope nothing bad is going to happen. So first of all, this is unacceptable going forward. You cannot have your Bitcoin safe at some point and then you try to make a transaction and suddenly they're unsafe, but you hope for the best. This is not possible that we go like this. And cold storage doesn't really work because, of course, people will argue cold storage is very safe. Yes, if Elon Musk takes your private key, send it to Mars, it's probably safe there. But the problem is, at some point, you're going to have to do a transaction. So you have to go back to Mars, take your private key, bring it back on Earth, so you can broadcast the transaction. And at the moment that you broadcast this transaction, you put your coins at risk. And so it's that liquidity management between your cold wallet and your hot wallet where the problem lies. And actually, if you look at the hacks that have happened in the past years, more than often is when those Bitcoin moves from one wallet to the other, from that cold to hot, that the hacks are happening because you have manual processes involved, you have people involved. You have people that know how the process works inside the company. It is very easy to take a picture of a private key and then enter the private key somewhere and steal the Bitcoins. So cold works, of course. Again, I can write something on a piece of paper, and you see this on Reddit. People say, I don't trust anything, I only trust my piece of paper. Okay. Now go do a transaction with your piece of paper. And going forward, it is impossible that you think that all of this won't move elegantly. Like, we need technology to have all of this go from sort of what we call cold today to how to do sort of any form of transaction with your crypto. And our mission, typically at Ledger, is to make it secure, but easy to use. All of this doesn't work if it's not very easy to use. If security cripples usability, then this will never be a big asset class. And so what we need is something that is temperature agnostic. I said it yesterday, people laughed at the temperature agnostic, but yes, who cares about temperature? Whatever you do with your Bitcoin, you should always feel safe. Whatever you do with your crypto assets, you should always feel safe. It is ridiculous that when you do a transaction, you at some point you're like, ooh, I'm taking a risk now. And actually, if you use Bitcoins every day, you do those things where you have to copy and paste that address. Like, so many people come to me and say, oh, I'm so stressed because I need to do that transaction, but I don't know, if I'm doing the right thing. So, they want, someone from my customer success to sit next to them while they do what they do, because it is very difficult to use crypto today, and assets are at risk when you make a payment. So we're going to go from sort of hot-cold, where we are today, to partial and full coverage of the key management lifecycle. So it means that whatever you do with your crypto, you always do it with the same level of security. And you're going to secure when the keys are at rest. And so that's what people call cold storage today. The keys are at rest, I'm not using them. But equally, you have the same security during usage. So you can read the slide, but at rest, the wallet detail setup, the governance rule setup, the wallet and governance verification, the wallet key creation, and the key storage. The last three operations are critical. And when you are securing the key during usage, transaction detail setup, governance rules enforcement, transaction verification, transaction signature, and transaction broadcasts. We're going to talk about the different type of technologies. On this slide, we highlighted where MPC is at play. So wallet key creation on one side and transaction signature on the other side. You guys know what MPC is? Okay. MPC, okay. Multi-party computation means that the private key is, I simplify, private key is divided into different pieces. So you never have the full private key when you use MPC. Voilà. Thank you. Pleasure. All right, so on the market right now, these are the technology companies that are taking care of that problem. And you have to make a distinction between technology companies and financial institutions. You have custodians that are financial institutions that have developed their own technology and that are offering a custodian service. And then you have technology companies that are offering technology to third-party companies so they can do their own custodianship and or use that technology to then offer custodianship to their clients. There are a few companies like us that are working on the full coverage solution, meaning that whatever you want to do with your Bitcoins, you will do it with the same level of security. and you will do it with the same interface. So you don't have to chop your coins into several wallets. One has to be cold, the other has to be hot. Actually, everything is handled by the same technology. Everything is always online. But even if it's online, it is secure. But the importance of being online is even more critical in the future. You know about staking. You know about those different new things where you need coins to be online all the time. You know about DeFi, etc., etc. So even for certain applications of crypto, tomorrow it's impossible to have your coins cold, your coins offline. It's not going to be possible anymore because otherwise there are certain usage of your coins that you won't be able to do. So thinking about having a technology that allows you to have the same level of security as cold storage, but always being online, we believe is the future. And of course, the next generation of custody in the custody industry should bring the same level of security that you have in your old world right now. Again, you should not wake up in the morning thinking, oh, my bitcoins might have been hacked during the night. I don't know. I know some chief security officers of big corporations that cannot take planes, that don't want to take planes today because they always want to have an internet access in the case of a hack happening. This is not possible in the future. They should be able to take a plane. I mean, unless they do it for other reasons, like, it's okay if you prefer the train, but I think that for security reasons, it's really bad if you cannot take a plane, because it means that your security is flawed. And so the game of this industry will be to have the same type of security that we see in the old world, but better usability. So funds available 24/7, transaction in seconds, etc., or nanoseconds. And to tell you that, this is my last slide, but to tell you that the technology that we have today doesn't work and is not fit for purpose when it comes to cryptocurrencies, you can read our blog and we're publishing stuff about security all the time, but this is one of the things that we revealed recently at Black Hat, which is a hacking conference. And yes, at Ledger we have something called the Dungeon, which is a white hat hacking dungeon. So I have hackers that hack every day. They hack our products, they hack our competitors' products, they hack our partners' products. And we work in what we call responsible disclosure. So when we find something, we always call, whether it's our competitor or our partner, we let them know, we help them to patch to make security better. So our aim at Ledger is just to make security better. This is a case where we took an HSM, so hardware security module. HSMs are security servers that have been used by the banking industry for the past 20 years. So hardware security is actually something that has been used for the past 20 years. This is not new technology, but it has not been designed to protect crypto. It has not been designed to protect Bitcoin. And last time we checked, we found 14 vulnerabilities in the HSM, of which 9 were critical. 9 critical vulnerabilities means that if you attack the HSM, you can extract the private keys. So of course this is not acceptable. Now everything has been patched and the HSM are sort of fit for purpose. But all this to say that if you don't worry about security, this is what could happen. So what's important for custody is actually technology. Technology has to solve all of these problems that we just discussed. And we should all be aware that the industry as a whole, Ledger is working hard, but the industry as a whole is not where it should be in terms of technology. And hacks of 2019, there have been many, with millions of dollars stolen, should not happen in 20 and definitely not in 2030. So as a community, as an industry, we have to do much better when it comes to security and custody. Thank you.